we play a game?
Why, yes. I believe we shall.
Oh, I got a live one here.
Live from Little Rock and live from Game Goblins, it's Shane Plays Radio, Geek Talk Radio, a journey into the things we love. I'm your host, Shane Stacks. I'm joined today by my buddy and Steve Jackson Games rep and GURPS GM extraordinaire, Tony Dutra. What's up, Tony?
Not a whole lot, man. We're just having a good time
We
here.
are having a good time. It's already packed down here.
It is packed.
It is packed. So, got another great show for you today. I'll get to that here in a second. It is Free RPG Day. I'm live at Game Goblins in West Little Rock at Bowman and Canis. I'll talk more about that here in a second. Don't forget, this is live talk radio. You can call in at 501-823-0965. That's 501-823-0965. Or you can tweet me at Shane Plays during the show, and I will do my best to respond to your comments and questions. The show notes for today's show are up at shaneplays.com. That's ShanePlays.com. And there's a lot of news items today. We're going to do an RPG news blast. So It's going to be nothing but RPG news. So you definitely want to go check out the show notes for all the links to that. And then also you can find out more information about Game Goblins and Free RPG Day. So last week's show is on the blog. You could go check that out. That was actually an interview with Free RPG founder and organizer Aldo Giazzi, where he talked about where it came from, where it's going, all the things that are involved in making Free RPG Day happen. We are in a renaissance, a golden age, if you will, of tabletop and tabletop role-playing games. So it's a great time to get on board the RPG train if you've never done that. And Free RPG Day is a good day to do that. Don't forget, this show does go out. It is live Geek Talk Radio, but it also goes out as a podcast on the blog at shaneplays.com, iTunes, Google Play Music, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, and many other fine podcast directories. And I'm also working on getting the entire archive of the show up on SoundCloud. And once I do that, the show will also go out in podcast format on SoundCloud as well. A lot of people listen to things by SoundCloud, and I'm already getting more discovered there, so I'm glad to hear about that. You know, I was doing the stats the other day, Tony. I'm not talking about the live radio show. The podcast version of the show has been, I don't know, downloaded, listened to at over 20,000 times.
That's awesome.
That's great. Yeah, it's really exciting.
I pick up the show on YouTube.
Oh, do you? Yeah. See, there's people who listen on YouTube as well. I push it out on YouTube. Those are kind of hit or miss depending on the topic. But YouTube sometimes gets a lot of listenability. But anyway, thing is, the show keeps going and growing.
Nice.
We've had our 2-year anniversary. We've had our 100th show, so we're excited. And don't forget, last but not least, Shane Plays is carried on Krypton Radio. Krypton Radio is sci-fi for your Wi-Fi. KryptonRadio.com. Okay, folks, we are at Game Goblins live from Game Goblins, Arkansas's premier retailer for games and RPGs and gaming accessories and Warhammer, you name it. Warhammer 8 just released. All kinds of cool stuff going on. We're at Bowman and Canis down here in West Little Rock. You can come in today. Everything is free. There's Free RPG Day swag, which is the retailer kits that are all kinds of cool. There's first come, first serve. You can get 1 or 2 items out of there. I'm not sure how they're doing it up there. At least 1 item of free RPG Day stuff. I got some cool stuff already, Tony. I think you're pretty happy.
I got a commemorative die. Yeah, that's what I wanted.
That's why I like to get the commemorative die from Chessex every year. And I got a cool Free RPG Day shirt.
Where did you get that
shirt? Well, Josh,
man?
I guess Lee Shineberry and myself helped organize this event here, and there's like 1 T-shirt per kit.
Okay.
So he was nice enough to give us the T-shirts.
Nice.
So, which is cool. But you get free RPG Day stuff. There are free RPG games going on. There's like 14 or 15 games going. The first round started at 1 o'clock. There's probably still time for people to get here and get into a game if there's openings. There's another round of games starting at 7. We've got a wide range of RPG games, including there's a kids game going on right now. I think for 12 and under.
I think he actually is running it twice, isn't he?
Is he? I'm not. Well, I think he's going to a different location in Hot Springs this afternoon.
Oh, okay.
It's Carl Hill, and he's also doing the Arkansas RPG Con that's coming up in October. So I just worked out an agreement with him. We're going to do some cross promotion. I'm excited about. I don't know if people can hear that clapping in the background, but they're also doing giveaways. The store is doing giveaways about once an hour. based on door prize tickets. So come in, get a door prize ticket, and the store is doing giveaways. So, and there's free games. There's also an RPG sell and swap. You can bring your old used RPG material and you can sell it or swap it here at the store. There's a whole table full of all kinds of good stuff. I've got FASA Star Trek RPG 2nd edition on there. The red box for the 4th edition of D&D. I got the Doctor Who role-playing game. I know you got some stuff on there, Tony.
Yes,
There's a ton. There's one dude to put like 80, like a whole store.
Yeah, he brought his whole bookshelf.
So check that out. But anyway, get on down here, and we're going to have another round of games at 7, going till 11 o'clock. We'll be open till midnight. So come on down here to Game Goblins for Free RPG Day. Thanks to Lee Shineberry for his work in coordinating the games and the GMs and DMs. Thanks to Joshua Helmy and Jeremy Winchell from Game Goblins for helping to make this happen as we just continue to try to grow Central Arkansas gaming. And I'm going to fist bump with Tony because we've been working to grow Central Arkansas RPG gaming for a couple of years now.
Yeah.
And I know you're trying to work on your neck of the woods, too.
Yes, I am. We do have some gaming stores that have just opened up in western Arkansas, where I come from, and we're now starting to really get things going over there with regular gaming groups and such.
Excellent.
You
can go ahead and throw out a shout-out for that local game store.
Local game store that I'm going to be appearing at on June 29th and June 30th for Munchkin Panic Day.
Woohoo! I played Munchkin last weekend, actually.
Never enough toys in Mena, Arkansas.
Yeah. All right, cool.
And the 30th, I'm going to be running a Slayers game. If you like the anime, then come on down.
Nice. Okay. All that being said, folks, get on down here to Game Goblins for Free RPG Day. Zach, if you would, go ahead and turn on the super secret microphone in the newsroom. Oh, there they go, working hard on a Saturday. Sal told me he wanted a raise. He's starting to. I guess it's not enough for him to. I let him have the fedora and I let him chomp on a cigar.
You're a taskmaster.
I guess so.
Typewriters haven't been around for a long time, brother.
Well, that's Sal's choice, man. He's old school, but he runs a good news team. Folks, remember, for every $1 of support the show gets by Patreon, the news team gets a penny an hour raise, so it's a win-win for everybody. We do have sponsors. We're blessed to have them. They do not cover all the costs of live radio, so I definitely appreciate any Patreon supporters, but, only contribute that way if you feel, you like the idea of live Geek Talk Radio that goes out as a podcast. I'm going to keep going regardless, but I sure would love to have your support. Okay, so on the news, first and foremost, it's sad. The news broke right before the show last week, but last week was a pre-recorded show, so I didn't have time to go into it last week. But Adam West, TV's Batman, has died at 88. The news broke last Saturday. For most people, including myself, he was really the first Batman.
Yeah, for me too.
Yeah, and the show, it ran for 3 years in the 60s. Evidently, it was a huge fad, huge pop culture thing.
Right.
And it was campy.
Very.
But as a kid, I didn't know that. As a kid, all I knew is this is Batman.
That was good marketing, I think, because it grabbed people from all.
Yeah, I was like, this is Batman, and then later, it started getting pointed out to me, and I started realizing that it was campy. It was still a great show. I can still watch it.
I could watch it right now.
Yeah, it's a great show. I've got links up on the show from there's an article from Variety talking about his history, and he didn't just do Batman, but of course that's what he's most known for. Now he'll tell you himself that for a while he was frustrated with how well he was known as Batman because it
typecast.
Yeah, it affected other acting he wanted to do, but he finally, in his own words, him and Batman came down and came to an agreement, and from that point forward, he just sort of embraced it. So, and he's a beloved, not just Batman. I mean, people love Adam West.
Americana.
Yeah, just the same way that people love William Shatner, not just Captain Kirk. So we'll miss Adam West. He was acting right up until basically almost the day he died. I think he had a short battle with leukemia, so we will miss Adam West. You will miss, the potential to see him, because he was on, I think, was it Family Guy? There was some show where he was
He
doing
was a
like
voice actor.
He was doing a
for
version
the mayor.
of he was doing a version of himself, just having fun with
Right.
it. So yeah,
Right.
he played himself like a hyper active version of himself or something. So also the bat signal. This was very cool. Thursday night, the bat signal was lit over Los Angeles in honor of Adam West. Now there's several news articles about that out there, but I have it linked. I have a news article from Newsarama linked on the show notes. So they actually lit it up. They put it up on the side of a building, and that building looked 60s, man.
Yeah.
So the whole thing felt very, very
That's
60s.
part of downtown LA where I used to play shows and stuff. A lot of those buildings have been there for
Yeah, you used to be in a punk band.
many punk
Many
bands.
punk bands. Spike.
Many punk bands.
Was that actually your name, or is that just
No,
the dude
that was
from
just what the record
Was it
producer used
Geffen?
to.
Who was it? That.
Yeah.
Well, I'm saying, was that the company?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he called you Spike.
Spike.
I like you, Spike.
I don't think he knew my real name.
Yeah,
that's
that's-
why he called me that.
That's another story for another
Yeah,
time. So,
huge.
And it's because you have the leather jacket with the spikes. You're
Big punk rock fan. Been a big punk rock
Real
fan
punk.
since I started playing role playing games, so a long time.
So real punk, not Green
Right,
Day punk,
right.
not what's that other band that came out about the same time as Green Day?
No effects.
No, there was another. I can't even remember, but that's mainstream punk,
Yeah.
right? Anyway,
Stuff with the radio.
yeah. Anyway, okay, I'll get off of that because I don't want to upset any
This
listener
is a
base.
role playing game
Yeah,
show
let's
anyway.
let's go back into it. All right, so we'll miss Adam West. We were talking about Los Angeles. They honored him by shining the bat signal. And then also, I watched this last night. I saw a news article, so I watched it immediately. There's an unaired episode of Powerless that featured Adam West. Powerless got canceled, so it never aired, but they put it on YouTube. The official DC Comics YouTube channel
That's cool.
has an episode of Powerless where Adam West plays a member of the Wayne Enterprises board of directors named Dean West. So, and he basically plays himself and pokes a lot of fun at Batman and so. And Powerless was set in the DC universe. It was like The Office, like the average Joe in the DC universe.
That's cool.
It was actually a clever little show. I'm surprised it got canceled, but anyway. Okay, so I want to have a moment of silence for Adam West. I don't know how silent it actually will be with all the activity going on here.
We will be silent.
We will be silent as we do tribute to Adam West with a moment of silence. And that moment of silence was, of course, for Adam West, TV's Batman, who died at the age of 88 after a short battle with leukemia. We will miss him. So next, the rest of the show is all RPG news related.
Cool.
And yes, there will be some D&D news, but there will be some non-D&D news as well, Tony. So, because D&D is not the only game out there. What's your favorite game, Tony?
To run or to play?
Well, I know what it is to run. I was throwing you a softball.
To run, it's GURPS.
Yeah, I was throwing you a softball.
To play, I don't have a favorite one to play because it has a lot to do with the skill of the GM.
Yeah. Okay.
But to run, definitely GURPS because I can do anything.
Yeah,
with
that was a softball. If people forget, Tony's a friend of the show, been on the show before. He's actually a Steve Jackson Games rep. Are you still the only Steve Jackson Games rep in Arkansas?
That's correct. I'm the cell leader out here in Arkansas, so I'm looking for new blood.
You are a man in black.
I am a man in black, and I'm currently grooming some people for my team. If you are interested, by all means, go ahead and get a hold of me. My email address is 5378mib@gmail.com. If you're interested in becoming a man in black for Steve Jackson Games, you get free stuff all the time for playing games, doing stuff that you would do for free.
Sweet. That is sweet. So, and Steve Jackson has a lot of great games.
Yeah, lots
of course, everybody knows Munchkin, but there's, of course, GURPS. I talked to the guy who organizes and founded Free RPG Day. Steve Jackson published one of his games called Battle Cattle.
Right.
Battle
Steve Jackson
Cattle.
did Battle Cattle?
Yeah. Yeah, he published it.
I did listen to that show. I didn't know that Steve Jackson actually was the publisher, though.
Yeah. He went to Steve and said, "Will you publish my game?" And Steve published it for him. It's auto.
Was it like Car Wars?
It was like Car Wars with cows.
Great.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I would love to.
Awesome.
I would love dearly to play it. So
yeah, Steve Jackson games is always the style of games that they create. Excluding GURPS because it's a generic system that you plug a setting into.
It's an erector set.
The settings that they make are very tongue-in-cheek. Munchkin is obviously
Munchkin's a lot of fun.
Munchkin is a pointing the finger and laughing at the stereotypical role player that wants to power game and be greedy and stab his friends in the back.
While you do your neighbor wrong and for advantage. Yeah. In fact,
the guy that ruins the game for everybody else, whether by happenstance or on purpose.
Last week, this guy was about to win. I dropped the Plutonium Dragon on him, and he still won.
Yeah, it happens.
The Plutonium Dragon, for goodness sakes.
It happens.
So, anyway. Okay, so moving on to next news. From D&D, we've got, I mentioned this briefly, but I want to highlight it again in case people were listening to this show didn't listen a couple of weeks ago, and we're doing a lot of D&D news, or RPG news and D&D news. The next storyline from D&D is the Tomb of Annihilation, which is actually an update of the Tomb of Horrors, but they've made an entire campaign/storyline out of it. That takes you from level 1 to 11.
Yeah, if you can survive that long. If you can
survive.
How are you? Tomb of Horrors, come on, guys.
It's the same. The enemy from Tomb of Horrors was the Demi-Lich, I think, Acererak or something like that. It's the same baddie here. And it's in the jungle of the Forgotten Realms, so there's dinosaurs, too. So there you go. And that will be coming in September. So that's the next big storyline. I've reached out to Wizards of the Coast to see if I could, if they want to come on and talk about it, if they want to talk about Tomb of Annihilation. There's another.
That's a classic module. Tomb of Horrors.
I'm running my personal group through White Plume Mountain right now, and they're having a lot of fun with that. And White Plume Mountain and Tomb of Horrors, of course, the famously dangerous.
Tomb of Horrors is on the next level.
Tomb of Horrors just, it's like, you get killed for breathing in that.
Don't get attached to your character. Just make a few spares.
Yep, exactly. So the next thing we have coming out, or next big announcement from Wizards of the Coast D&D, is there's a resource called Xanathar's Guide to Everything that was announced the same weekend during the Stream of Annihilation. When they announced the Tomb of Annihilation. And the Xanathar's Guide to Everything will be coming out in November. It's got complete rules for more than 20 new subclasses for 5th edition, including the Cavalier, the Inquisitive, the Horizon Walker, and many more. It's got dozens of new feats and spells and a system to give your character a unique, randomized backstory, and a variety of systems and tools that provide dungeon masters new ways to personalize their home games, while also expanding the ways players can engage in organized play and share world campaigns. So I feel like that this is kind of the 5th edition Unearthed Arcana is kind of the vibe I get off
Sounds like it.
Yeah, that's the vibe. And Xanathar, I think Xanathar's a beholder, if I remember right. He runs a thieves guild.
It's got an X in his name.
Yeah, there it is.
It's either a very old dragon or a beholder.
Yeah, it's the Waterdeep's most infamous crime lord and a beholder to boot.
Yeah.
You'd be shocked to discover just about how much he knows about you. Yes, you, adventurers.
That sounds like a beholder. He's the guy pulling the strings.
Well, he's on the cover there. There's a big beholder looking at something. I don't know. So that's another product announcement coming out. That'll be out in November. And then also, this may sound strange in the age of printing everything off the internet, but D&D is coming out June 20th. I think they'll be at all retailers. I actually saw them on the shelf here today at Game Goblins. There are official D&D character sheets, which some people are like, why? But you get a folder. You get a protective folder that has D&D artwork on it. And there's a full set of 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons character sheets for use in any D&D campaign. You get 3 additional styles of double-sided character sheets giving veteran players options based on their individual play preference and spell sheets for keeping track of their magical repertoire. Each character sheet provides plenty of room to keep track of everything, etc. You also get an introductory character sheet designed specifically to help new players into the game. And it's basically $10. So for the super fan, like on my character sheets, I'm fine just having a piece of scratch, well, not scratch paper, but lined paper. But some people like the really fancy, character sheets and everything.
Character sheets are good for live games.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're playing a campaign, I would much rather have a
full-on
pre-printed
character
sheet.
Gotcha. All right. So anyway, that's just, and like I said, those are on the shelf at the character sheets, not Tomb of Annihilation, and not Xanathar's Guide to Everything, but those character sheets are on the shelf at Game Goblins today, right now. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to have more RPG news. It's the RPG News Blast today, as we are at Free RPG Day at Game Goblins. Come on out and join us. There's plenty of time to come out here to Game Goblins at Canis and Bowman in West Little Rock, get some free RPG stuff, join in the game, and have a lot of fun. We'll be back here in a moment on Shane Plays Geek Talk Radio. Comic book lovers, visit thewildstars.com today. From the mind of author and comic book industry expert Michael Tierney, it's not just a comic book, it's a comic book novel. The Wild Stars is sci-fi and so much more. Learn the explanations behind UFOs and space gods. This isn't the Twilight Zone. This is the region of the Milky Way galaxy known as the Wild Stars. We guarantee you've never read anything like it. The complete comic book novel took 20 years to tell, with one reviewer noting, the story of the Wild Stars stretches ambitiously across space and time, from small-town murders to the destruction of planets, with every event given multiple layers of meaning. If you haven't read The Wild Stars, you're missing out. Visit thewildstars.com today. The die is cast. Plunge into worlds of fantastic adventure where dragons lie and the undead stalk the shades of your mind's imagines. Where creatures of legend plunder wealth through the horror of their passage. Monsters grim and foul hold the ecstasy of gold and the renown of glory. All this and more awaits you and your friends in the unlimited, fantastic world of the Castles and Crusades role-playing game from Trollord Games. Visit your friendly local game store or Trollord.com to get your copy today. A rules-light, adaptable game that has stood the test of time. 12 years in constant publication with no new additions. Castles and Crusades is the original, easy-to-play attribute check system. Join us and unleash your imagination. Visit your friendly local game store or Trollord.com to get your copy of Castles and Crusades today. Shane Plays Radio is blessed to have sponsors, and we appreciate them very much. However, did you know that you can also support the show as an individual for as little as $1 an episode? Simply go to patreon.com/ShanePlays. Hey, we're back on Shane Plays Geek Talk Radio. We are live from Game Goblins on Free RPG Day right here at Canis and Bowman here in West Little Rock, right by Senor Tequila and Alley Oops and Subway and all that. Come on out. We've got all kinds of free RPG Day goodness. In addition to the normal free, cool RPG swag that you can get, there's games running at 1 o'clock and then again at 7. I've got a game at 2:30 for Star Trek Adventurers playtest. It is unfortunately booked up, but we do have plenty of games running right now, and then again at 7 o'clock. So come on down here. There's also door prize giveaways about once an hour. There's a used RPG share and swap going on. It is a celebration of RPG goodness, wouldn't you say, Tony?
Oh, yeah.
I'm joined for those.
It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's good. So for those of y'all that are just joining in, I'm joined by my friend and friend of the show, Tony Dutra, who is also a Steve Jackson Games reps and is here to play GURPS Cyberpunk. I think your game is... People need to get on down here and sign up for some games.
It filled in quick. I know that there are slots available for other games, but the GURPS Cyberpunk has been completed. It's booked up. And there's people playing right now. We're already busy. We plan for it to get busier. Mm-hmm. Lee Shineberry, who helped organize all the GMs and games,
I kind of help more with the organizing and flapping my lips to make sure people know about it. But yeah, Lee's convinced it's going to get even busier as the day goes on. Before we get back to the RPG news, Tony he was like, hey, man, tell people what games are going. I'm like, well, that's a darn good idea. So here's what, and you can go to Facebook and look for free RPG Day at Game Goblins. And they're with Shane Plays is free RPG Day at Game Goblins with Shane Plays. That's the name of the post or the event. And then there's a pinned post that has all the games. So here's what's going on by time slot. From 1 to 3, there's actually a kids game called Swords and Wizardry Light. And if you happen to be listening and you're going to be in the Hot Springs area tonight, I think Carl Hale, who's going to be running this game, is also going to be at Steadfast Games tonight in Hot Springs playing it. Obviously don't go to Hot Springs instead of Game Goblins because they're a sponsor and I love them very much. But if you happen to be in Hot Springs, swing by Steadfast Games tonight and tell Jonathan Westmoreland I said hello. Carl Hale is also putting together the Arkansas RPG Con, which is going to be in October. We'll talk more about that in later shows. From 1 to 5, going on right now, you probably still have time to get down here and get in on one of these games. You got Call of Cthulhu 7.0, run by Chris Lloyd. You got Tortured Earth, which is a very cool system I haven't had a chance to play yet, but I've watched it played by GM Lawrence Lowe. You got Numenera. That's one of my personal favorites. I love the setting. I love the system. I played it several times, run by GM John McKay. You got Dresden, the Dresden Files, which is sort of like the X-Files meets John Constantine, kind of. Dresden Accelerated by Jesse Thacker. You got Fantasy Age by GM Sean Jack. You got Villains and Vigilantes 3rd edition by Jonathan Boone from 1 to 5 p.m. From 2:30 to 6:30, I'll be running Star Trek Adventures RPG playtest from Modiphius. I had them on the show several months back talking about this game. Chris Birch from Modiphius. That is full right now, but you never know. Could have a spot open up. But as it is, that's full. From 7 to 11 tonight, you got plenty of time if you're listening live in the Central Arkansas area to get down here for tonight. Tony is running GURPS 4th edition Cyberpunk. It is full right now, but if by some chance you happen to get into that game, he's one of the best game masters I've ever sat under. And I'm not just saying that because he's my friend and on the radio
I'm sitting right
now.
here.
Yeah, but he knows GURPS. I love GURPS. You got Shadowrun by Chris Riley, Savage Worlds Fantasy by Mark Gibson, Savage Worlds Indiana Jones by Alden Matthew Murch, Savage World Deadlands by Donald Kidd, and D&D 5e Modern run by Lee Shineberry. So those are the games. Come on down here to Game Goblins. Get your free RPG swag. Play a game for free. Have a lot of fun as we are in this golden age and renaissance of tabletop role-playing, which just makes me nothing but happy. Now, back to the news items. Next news item. This is kind of an interesting news item. I'm not going to spend a lot of time. I could do a whole show just on this. But Ian World did an article a few weeks back, and they were referencing an interview that Matthew Peterson did with Tracy Hickman. Now, Tracy Hickman was, of course, the co-author of not only the Dragonlance modules, but the Dragonlance books with Margaret. Is it Weiss or Weiss? I always say Weiss, but...
Well, it sounds German to me, so EI should be Weiss.
Weiss, okay. So Margaret Weiss. And this talks about... Go look. There's a link on the show notes at shaneplays.com. It's called Dragonlance, the road trip that changed a world. Basically, Tracy and his wife were out of work and so poor, in his own words, that they weren't going to church because he couldn't afford to buy shoes for his kids.
Oh, wow.
And, he was looking for work, and they ended up taking a gamble, and they drove cross-country and got a job with TSR. And, his friends and family are like, you go get a job in insurance. Don't do this, But Tracy rolled the dice, if you will, and they ended up hooking up with TSR, and the rest is history. The Dragonlance, which is one of my favorite settings, and loved those books.
Probably one of the most popular D&D novels.
Yeah,
right?
Huge. Yeah, huge. Yeah, the Dragonlance novels, from what I understand, in some ways kind of carried TSR a little bit, so.
It sounds like a good argument. I mean, they did have some problems in the mid to late 90s.
Well, they showed up. They're broke. I think they're in a car on the last legs. They show up in Lake Geneva, Wisconsin, St. Patrick's Day in a snowstorm. They didn't even have enough money to eat dinner at the hotel restaurant. So this is what the gamble they took. And it paid off not only for them, but for gamers everywhere with Dragonlance. And, of course, Tracy and his wife also did Ravenloft, which was a big sea change in how adventures were written and everything. So
one of the most popular modules
ever. Yeah. And it also changed how module, it got more into, there's not just a vampire. Why is the vampire there? Right. And then it had that kind of replayability because there was a randomization on every time you played it. So if you like that kind of thing, definitely go check out this article at Ian World, linked on the show notes, called The Road Trip That Changed a World. And then I think the last D&D related news item we have here, and Tony, I don't know if you're like me, I know a lot of my listeners are, that they love the history of role-playing, and they love the history of the personalities behind the games. There's this is linked from arstechnica.com on my show notes. There's a article out there, Rise of the Dungeon Master, a fascinating graphic novel about the origins of Dungeons & Dragons. So this guy, there's a lot known about Gary Gygax and Dave Arneson.
Sure.
Who co-created D&D. Now, Gary Gygax usually gets the credit for creating D&D. What Gary did was refine it somewhat and get it out there. He had the business desire to build a company and get it out there. But there would have been no D&D without Dave Arneson. Right. He took Chainmail, which was the miniatures game.
War game, strategy game.
And he added the role-playing and the Dungeon Master element to it in a very nascent form, right? And then Gary helped refine it. But make no mistake, it took Gary Gygax and Dave Arneson to make D&D. Make no mistake. Now, this is a really cool graphic novel. I've added it to my Amazon wish list. Journalist David Kushner interviewed Gary Gygax and Dave Arneson before they passed away, and then worked with artist Corin Shadme, and they did a graphic novel on. And I mean, the art. I love the art. It looks fantastic.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
We're looking at it right now, Tony and I, on the laptop, and it's told in the second person, like you're the player, and the graphic novel is the Dungeon Master telling you.
Wow,
that's
an interesting idea. Very, very rarely done to write a novel in the second person.
Yeah, well, yeah, and it's done it tells you it's like you have to print. It says 10 months after D&D's launch, the game sells out. You print twice as many copies to keep up with demand. So it's like a DM is telling you how the adventure is going. Yeah.
Your normal everyday accounting life is now an adventure.
Yeah, I like the art.
Watch and read.
I'm going to pick this up. It looks great. So, and if you love graphic novels, you love comic books, and you love D&D history and all that, this is a perfect combination. So I would definitely love to get a copy of this. And like I said, that's from arstechnica.com, and it's linked at the show notes. So definitely recommend that people check that out. Now, the rest of the news items that we have are non-D&D related. It's a big time for role-playing games right now.
Yes,
in fact,
it is.
I wanted to, and I didn't get a chance. I wanted to try to go get some statistics on how big the industry is right now, like what it's worth, what's the average product being sold a week is, and I didn't have time to.
It'd be difficult to find actual hard records because a lot of those companies don't publicly release them because they're not owned by shareholders, so they don't have to release it.
Right.
But what I will say is, more than any other time that I've been playing role-playing games, that there's more players now than ever before.
Right. It's huge right now. It's great. I can't help but think that the industry's healthy right now.
Yeah.
Unless you're just mismanage your company or something or whatever, I don't see how you couldn't.
It's been done before.
Yeah, it's happened before. And anyway, so there's a lot of other news out there. There's a lot of other role-playing games out there. And D&D is great. I love D&D. I grew up playing D&D. I still play D&D. But I like to play it.
I play D&D more than any other role-playing game there is, still to this day.
Yeah, but role-playing is not just D&D. right?
Correct.
So let's talk about some other news out there. Now, this has a lot of people excited. In fact, I put this on Reddit, and it was like a piranha storm on Reddit of comments and people liking it and everything. Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition pre-alpha playtest rules are now available. And people who are just now getting into role-playing games don't understand how big the World of Darkness is in the 90s. It was huge. I think it outsold D&D for a while. And that was 2nd and 3rd edition D&D it was outselling.
Second.
Yeah. But
Definitely second.
World of Darkness was huge. It took a gothic/punk sensibility and tone and aesthetic and built really cool rules and really cool settings. You had Vampire the Masquerade. You had Werewolf the Apocalypse.
Yeah, they took a section of classic horror from every one and made a setting out of it all in the same world.
Right.
So there was a vampire, werewolf, mage, wraith,
Hunter. Yep. Then you had Changeling, which was in the Fae, but it was still kind of loosely connected with the World of Darkness.
Right.
Now, here's the thing. The World of Darkness was you're never going to win. It's just like how long can you survive until...
It's like Call of Cthulhu.
Yeah. It was like, how long can you prolong the inevitable?
Yes, right.
But it really captured the imagination of a lot of people. And I think a lot of people LARPed it. There was LARPing.
Oh, that still goes on now. I mean,
when
before I came out to Arkansas at the convention that I would regularly go to, they would do it at midnight.
Yeah.
And I walked down there once, and they had like 50 people down there, and all LARPing vampire. I'm like, wow, that's gigantic for one game, man. That many people, the logistics alone would drive me insane.
There used to be here in North Little Rock. We're in Little Rock right now, but North Little Rock, there's a Lakewood Village shopping center, and there's this kind of, I don't know what you call it, kind of an amphitheater thing in the middle of it. And I would always see people in there. I'm like, what are these kids doing? And then I saw on the internet one day that they met up and LARPed there.
It's a wild thing if you've never seen it.
And they solve everything with rock, paper, scissors, right? That's the dice rolling is rock, paper, scissors.
If there's no narrative that would explain something away, they do a Rochambeau.
They do. What did you call it?
Rochambeau.
Is that rock, paper, scissors, Rochambeau?
John Campone.
Gotcha. Anyway, so let's get back. The main storyline here, or the main story, is that Vampire the Masquerade version 5, the pre-alpha rules are out. There's a lot of desire for this. White Wolf, the company, has changed hands a few times. I can't remember off the top of my head who they're. I think the same company that owns EVE Online owns White Wolf now, or something weird like that. I can't remember. But anyway, there's these. You can go to get the playtest kit right now. Go to the show notes. Go to the shaneplays.com, or just look for Vampire pre-alpha rules. And there's a playtest kit, and then they're hoping to have people send in surveys by August to kind of give their feedback. And in the comments I've seen, people are pretty happy with the playtest rules. So I've only looked through them briefly. This is something that's happening more and more where companies are sort of crowdsourcing their playtest. Like we're doing the playtest.
That's a smart idea.
Yeah, we're doing the playtest for Star Trek Adventures today. D&D 5e did a huge public playtest.
Yeah, I was part of the D&D Next thing before it was even going to be called 5th edition, and they did that at the convention that I usually played at, and it was handled really well. I mean, they had all sorts of dungeon masters from all over come and get information, then they crowdsourced all that to make the next level.
And it's smart. You get all that feedback, and
those are your customers. You might as well get to
listen
know
to
what they got to say, right?
And the general consensus is that, and I agree with this, is that 5th edition is one of the best editions of D&D that's come out.
I like Redbox.
Yeah.
That's the rules.
Yeah, but Grognard.
I like
the old
original
stuff, but 5th edition is good. I got no problem with 5th edition. So people go check out the Vampire 5th edition pre-alpha rules. We're going to do one more news item. We'll hit a break and come back and wrap up with some more news. This next news item, I personally like this news item because I used to play this game, and I've got a lot of friends that play it themselves. Torg Eternity Kickstarter has raised $260,000, and they only asked for $8,000 initially. And there's still 12 days left in the campaign. You talk about blowing the doors off of a Kickstarter. This is kind of ridiculous. I mean, what do you
Be able to make some nice full-color hardback books with that.
Well, I'll tell you, my only beef with this, and it looks nice.
It looks great.
Yeah, it looks great.
It looks nice.
I really like it. I'm on the Kickstarter page right now. People can just look for Torg Eternity on Kickstarter. Go to the show notes at shaneplays.com and check it out. My only beef with this is the first level you can get into where you actually get a printed version of anything is $70.
But that's the whole box set, right? Is that whole box?
You get the rule book, the dice pack, status shock and wound counters, all original Torg books in PDF, and all digital stretch goes in PDF. So I mean, it just seems a smidge.
Those books better be full color and hardback.
They better be amazing. So
for
they're
$70.
Yeah, it's just a little, and that's a trend that we're seeing. I guess they're figuring people will spend the money. There's the Star Trek Adventures that's up for pre-order now. That's a news item we'll talk about after the break. There's a Borg Cube version of the game.
That's awesome.
$500.
What?
Yeah.
Okay, so what is? Okay,
we'll talk about that after the break.
That's crazy.
500 smackers. They will assimilate your wallet.
That's
That's crazy.
Put a tractor beam right on that
Totally,
wallet.
yeah. So, So Torg Eternity is a multi-genre game where you got the gothic evil vampire reality touching on the futuristic cyborg, touching on the Conan. I mean, it's just this multi-genre, and your party can be made up of people from the future, people from the past, people that are magical. It's just a really interesting, setting, and people are pretty excited about it.
Cool.
And it's the same company that does The Dark Eye, which is sort of the European D&D, The Dark Eye. So anyway, we're going in there with that news item. We're going to cut to a break. We come back. We'll have a few more RPG-related news items, and we are here for Free RPG Day at Game Goblins in Little Rock, Canis, and West Bowman. We will be, is it West Bowman? Anyway, Canis and Bowman, right by Senor Tequila here in Little Rock. We'll be back here in a moment with more on Shane Plays Geek Talk Radio. Comic book lovers, visit thewildstars.com today. From the mind of author and comic book industry expert Michael Tierney, it's not just a comic book, it's a comic book novel. The Wild Stars is sci-fi and so much more. Learn the explanations behind UFOs and space gods. This isn't the Twilight Zone. This is the region of the Milky Way galaxy known as the Wild Stars. We guarantee you've never read anything like it. The complete comic book novel took 20 years to tell, with one reviewer noting, the story of the Wild Stars stretches ambitiously across space and time, from small-town murders to the destruction of planets, with every event given multiple layers of meaning. If you haven't read The Wild Stars, you're missing out. Visit thewildstars.com today.
The die is cast.
Plunge into worlds of fantastic adventure where dragons lie and the undead stalk the shades of your mind's imagines. Where creatures of legend plunder wealth through the horror of their passage. Monsters grim and foul hold the ecstasy of gold and the renown of glory. All this and more awaits you and your friends in the unlimited, fantastic world of the Castles and Crusades role-playing game from Trollord Games. Visit your friendly local game store or Trollord.com to get your copy today. A rules-light, adaptable game that has stood the test of time. 12 years in constant publication with no new additions. Castles and Crusades is the original, easy-to-play attribute check system. Join us and unleash your imagination. Visit your friendly local game game store or Trollord.com to get your copy of Castles and Crusades today. Shane Plays Radio is blessed to have sponsors, and we appreciate them very much. However, did you know that you can also support the show as an individual for as little as $1 an episode? Simply go to patreon.com/ShanePlays. Hey, we're back on Shane Plays Geek Talk Radio, a journey into things we love. My buddy and friend of the show and game master extraordinary Tony Dutra is joining us for the show today, and we are live on scene, on location at Game Goblins in Little Rock, West Little Rock at Canis and Bowman, right here by Alley Oops and Senor Tequila and Subway, and I think maybe there's a tropical smoothie around here. So that's where we're at. It's free, cool RPG stuff all day. Come on in, get free RPG swag, books and adventures and introductory rules for different RPGs, other stuff. There's also door prize giveaways once an hour. There's a used RPG sell and swap going on, and we have games. There's a set of games going right now that started at 1 o'clock. They'll go till 5. You may still be able to get down here and jump in a game if there's an open slot. And then we also have another round of games from 1 to 7, from 7 till 11 tonight, and the store is open till midnight. So come on in. There's lots of great stuff going on here at Game Goblins in Little Rock at Canis and Bowman. And Game Goblins is Central Arkansas's premier retailer of games and gaming accessories and all that super cool stuff. So we were talking right before the break that Star Trek Adventures from Odysseus is taking pre-orders now. And I had Chris Birch from Odysseus that's publishing Star Trek Adventures. In fact, I'm running their playtest today from 2:30 to 6:30. Fortunately, that game is not just full. It's bursting at the seams. Still have people begging to get in, and I'm having a hard time saying no, but I gotta cut it. You know, you can only take so many people and everybody have fun.
There's only so many pre-gens.
Yeah, exactly. That too. So anyway, we're going to run it today. It's a fun system, but they're taking pre-orders now. I think the pre-orders will ship in August, and I think stores, maybe you can start buying the game from early September. But they have all these different pre-orders. Now, I was telling Tony, let's take a look at this.
Yeah,
they have
this.
The Borg Cube edition of the game for $500.
I want to see what's in there.
Yeah, well, hold on. So the cheapest you're going to get on this game with the basic rule book is basically $60.
Wow.
Basically, that's what I'm saying. They're asking a lot for games these days. I guess they feel like that the consumer
I think that's
can
the
handle.
most expensive I've ever seen one rule
book.
Well,
here's the thing, though. If I go buy the player's handbook and the game master's guide for D&D, I'm spending $100 right there. So this is just one rule book, gives you everything you need for $60. So it's about, you know what I mean?
How many pages is the book?
I don't know. Let's take a look. This is the one I want that has the ship artwork on the front. But anyway, people can find this linked at shaneplays.com on the show notes.
Wow, though, I mean that's a little too much, though.
It's expensive.
$77 for one
Well,
book?
that's the like collector's edition. I don't know what that all comes with, but I'm trying to see how many pages are in this rule book, and I don't see the page count. The artwork, the artwork makes it look thick, but I don't know.
If there was one thing that could hurt the industry, I think that might be it.
Overpricing.
Continuing to tell your customers that these books are
supposed
to cost.
I'll tell you, if this is anything like the quick start rules, then really only the GM has to have the book.
Well, it's always been like that, but does that actually happen? Not really.
Well, but I mean, the players usually buy their own player's handbook in D&D.
Isn't that what that is, though?
No, that's everything. That's what I'm saying. It's one rule book, and that's the GM and the play. It's everything.
But what I'm saying is the players are still going to buy their own books so they can make their own characters and stuff.
No, that's a good point. Yeah, but anyway,
I think one of the marketing strategies on splitting them up between a player's handbook and a dungeon master's handbook is they realized that not everybody was going to buy the DM's guide, but the player's handbook, most everybody's going to want to buy that if they become fans of the system.
Right. Yeah, it doesn't say the page count, but it's, it gives you everything. It's complete this. Anyway, now let's look at this board cube real quick for $500. Okay, yeah, it uses cookies.
That's just amazing.
There's people out there that'll buy it, though.
That is like a retailer buying a display with books to sell in their store.
Well, here at Game Goblins, Josh has a 3D chess set up there from Star Trek for $500. Yeah. So, okay, let's see here. Looks like they've already sold 40% of 197 for the pre-orders. Yeah, who's got this kind of money? Oh, man.
That's a huge Star Trek fan is what that is, though. I mean, Star Trek.
Oh, it's 368 pages for the rule book.
That's good.
Yeah. So anyway, the board cube comes for $500. You get the Star Trek Adventures Collector's Edition core rule book. You get 4 sets of Star Trek Adventures 32 millimeter scale miniatures, original series crew, Next Generation crew, Klingon Warband, and Romulan Strike Team. 3 sets of custom Star Trek Adventures dice, which, by the way, you don't have to have. They're just completely optional if you want to have Star Trek dice in quotes. A set of laser engraved tokens. A pad of 50 reversible color character sheets. Folded poster of the Alpha and Beta quadrants. 6 times double-sided laminated reference sheets for bridge positions and player aids. A foam tray with 40 compartments for all your different stuff. Digital PDF bundle, blah, blah, blah. Exclusive 32 millimeter scale miniature of Lore, Data's evil twin. An exclusive giant Borg Edition Game Master screen. And it's uniquely numbered with an official Star Trek Adventures hologram. $500. There you go,
That is.
And they're already selling. They sold 39% of 197.
They are marketing to the super Star Trek fan that is planning on playing this every week for 5 years.
This is the guy that will plan when Las Vegas had the guy that was planning a special trip just to go to Vegas just for the Star Trek experience, right? Now, if there's anything wrong with that, I ain't got those kind of ducats, Tony.
Yeah, $500.
Yeah. If somebody wants to gift it to me, I'll review it on the show. How's that sound? All right,
Maybe the company.
Anyway, Star Trek Adventures is open for pre-orders now. Got a couple more news items. We're going to wrap up the show. Pathfinder Kingmaker. You can find this on Kickstarter right now. It's linked on the show notes. Pathfinder Kingmaker is going to be the first single-player Pathfinder computer role-playing game. So think like Baldur's Gate and all, Pool of Radio, all those, but Pathfinder rules, not D&D rules.
And you don't have a party? It's just...
No, you have a party.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but it's using the Pathfinder rules, which a lot of people have explained as D&D 3.75 because it was a fork of D&D 3.5. So anyway, and Chris Avallone, who's a very well-known game designer, is on board with that. And then finally... this is the news I have today, although there's other RPG news out there. Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay 4th Edition is coming from Cubicle 7 and Games Workshop, and it's going to take its cues from the 1st and 2nd editions of the game, and it's not going to take its cues from the 3rd edition of the game that was recently published by Fantasy Flight Games. So, have you ever played Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay?
Oh, yes, and when I did play it, I thought it had a really cool job system.
Yeah.
It's fun. The actual setting is
savage. Warhammer is savage.
It's a really savage is a good adjective.
It's high lethality. It's lethally high lethality.
Very dark.
Yeah, very dark, grim. You will die.
Yeah,
high damage weapons and all that. So that's Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay 4th Edition is coming, and that article is linked on Shane Plays show notes, shaneplays.com show notes from Ian World. Well, that's it for the RPG news. We're about to have to wrap the show. Any final thoughts there, Tony? Thanks for being with me today.
You're welcome. It was my pleasure being here. This is my, 4th appearance now?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, personal friend and friend of the show. Folks, get on out to Game Goblins here at Canis and Bowman here in West Little Rock. By
There's still
Senior
stuff
Tequila.
open.
There's games going right now. There'll be another set of games starting at 7. Even if you don't play a game, come on in and get you some free RPG stuff. All right, Tony, I got to do this to you.
Uh-huh.
I have the bad joke of the week now. Are you ready? Zach, turn on your microphone, too. I want you to participate.
Okay.
Zach.
Go ahead.
Hi, Zach. Hey, Zach, buddy. Thanks for running the show remote.
No
Did a
problem.
Great job. Why can't Jedi email photos to each other?
I give up.
How about you, Zach?
I have no idea.
Because attachments are forbidden. Tony's actually like,
Wow.
he's like stroking his forehead. Like he's
Yeah,
in
that was a
pain.
literal face palm.
Yeah.
All right, folks, that's it for Shay Plays Geek Talk Radio this weekend. Thanks for listening. Make sure to join us next weekend and get on down to Game Goblins today for free RPG day. Next rounds of games starts at 7. There's games going on right now, and the store will be open till midnight. And even if you don't play a game, come and get you some free RPG stuff. We'll catch you next time on Shane Plays Geek Talk Radio.
You pull on the mask and the utility belt, the gloves, and you must believe the moment that's done that you really are Batman.
Shane Plays Radio is blessed to have sponsors, and we appreciate them very much. However, did you know that you can also support the show as an individual for as little as $1 an episode? Simply go to patreon.com/ShanePlays.